What is up, YouTube? My name is Trinity and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. So today we are going to be talking about a topic that is actually a couple of years old, but has recently come back into my attention because a movie was made about it in 2023. I totally plan on watching this movie and giving my thoughts and opinions on it and how it contrasts from the actual events that happened. But until then, I wanted to kind of cover the origin of what the movie is. We are going to be discussing the Dear David saga. So I was originally introduced to this topic by one of my favorite YouTubers, Loey Lane. Back when the whole Dear David saga was happening, she made several videos just chronicling the entire process from start to end. Now, for those of you who are unaware of what Dear David is, it was kind of an augmented reality game / live creative writing project by someone on Twitter. Yes, I know it's called X now, but that is fucking stupid in my opinion, and I'm just gonna keep calling it Twitter. But essentially, a cartoonist named Adam Ellis started tweeting about paranormal events that were happening in his life, and it immediately captured the internet, and people wanted to know what was happening. And as it continued, it kept getting more and more intense, and he would give updates and evidence, and it was very gripping to keep track of in real time. The reason I kind of call it an augmented reality game is because people could interact with him as it was happening, and it felt very real because he would interact back. Now, I don't recall if Adam ever came out and confirmed that it was fiction, but at the end of the entire saga, he did say that a movie would be made about it, the movie which was made last year. So there's kind of a couple avenues of, was it based on true events, and then eventually he decided to turn it into a movie, or was this a creative writing project that he kind of wanted to drum up a lot of anticipation for, so when he finally announced that there would be a movie, there was already an audience created around it. Honestly, that type of marketing is so cool that in real time people are following it, so by the time you announce a movie, of course you're going to have thousands, if not millions of people already very invested. But enough of me rambling, let's get into the Dear David saga. So as I said before, Adam Ellis was a cartoonist, and he also worked for BuzzFeed at the time. And he had this Twitter account years before the Dear David saga even happened, making it seem even more authentic. But on August 7th, 2017, he tweeted a chilling opening to a long thread that would open the Dear David saga. So, my apartment is currently being haunted by the ghost of a dead child, and he's trying to kill me. He started appearing in my dreams, but I think he's crossed into the real world now. He had a huge, misshapen head that was dented on one side. And attached to this tweet was an illustration that Adam did himself of what this apparition apparently looked like. For a while, he just stared at me, but then he got out of the chair and started shambling towards the bed. I couldn't move because I was paralyzed. I have sleep paralysis fairly often. It sucks. Right before he reached my bed, I woke up screaming. From here, I am going to paraphrase what these tweets said unless they are very relevant or have something important attached, just because I don't feel like taking hundreds if not thousands of screenshots and editing this video for hours when it's already going to be very long. I think what gripped people from the beginning is this wasn't a slow burn horror story, that it was very intense and gripping right from the beginning. A few nights later, he tweeted that he had had a dream that he was in the library and he saw a little girl. And the little girl had said, "You've seen Dear David, haven't you?" At first he was confused, but she continued saying that he only appears at midnight and he is indeed dead. And if you said Dear David, you could ask him 2 questions, but never ask a third, or else he would kill you. He stated that in another dream, I'm not sure if this dream happened the same night or a different night, he said he dreamt of David again, sitting in the same chair looking at him. Adam asked David, how did he die? And David said that an accident in a grocery store had killed him. Adam asked him what had happened in this store that had killed him. And David said that a shelf had been pushed onto his head. And completely forgetting the warning that the little girl had given him, he asked who pushed the shelf.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
When David didn't answer him, Adam immediately realized his mistake and woke up terrified. He tried as best he could to look up any deaths in his city that matched the way David had died, but he found nothing. He said that time passed and nothing really happened, and he eventually forgot about the dreams altogether. He moved into the apartment upstairs from his current apartment, and that's when he said his cat started acting weird. Around midnight, they would both begin gathering near the door and meowing like there was something out there. On one of the nights that this happened, he looked out the peephole and swore that he saw some sort of movement on the other side. Though when he opened up the door and turned on the light, he saw nothing there. Though when he looked at his cats, he noticed they looked extremely stressed and uncomfortable. Their fur was standing on end. This apparently happened for 6 nights in a row, and he shared videos of this strange behavior. On one of these nights, he looked through the peephole and saw what he initially thought was a smudge. But when he opened the door, turned on the light, there was nothing there. But then he looked through the peephole again, and it was there again. And he swore it looked like something was hiding in the stairwell looking up at him. Fuck. It makes no sense. I've heard this all before. I've heard the story repeatedly. I looked up all of this information. But because I'm home alone, and there's not a lot of natural light in my apartment, I'm getting the chills, and I'm starting to freak out. But I'm gonna get through this video. A commenter on the photo that he posted of something apparently being in the stairwell suggested that it could have been some sort of animal. But Adam clarified that the building he lived in was actually one house that was converted into a duplex, so there was no real way for an animal to get into the building. On August 10th, Adam tweeted that things had been quiet the last couple of days. Nothing very eventful had happened. But he had the idea to download a sleep talk app so he can record himself and see if anything happened while he was sleeping. He decided to listen to the suggestion of a couple of comments and put a ring of salt around his door. The next day, Adam tweeted that his sleep talk app had captured 33 recordings between the hours of 2 and 3 a.m. 3 of the recordings were of note, as there was a snapping or stepping sound, a groan, and then an electrical sound. The next day, Adam posted a selfie with the caption, "Getting the F out of my haunted apartment for the weekend." Unfortunately, commenters were quick to note that what looked like a face appeared in the pane of the window behind him. And when he actually went back to look, he said he had no explanation for why that would be there. 2 days later, Adam tweeted that he had bought a Polaroid camera over the weekend and had decided to take some pictures around his apartment just for fun and to see if he could capture anything interesting. All of the photos taken within the apartment were completely normal, not capturing anything out of the ordinary and developing normally. But when he took a picture of the hallway outside of his front door, it was completely black. He even took another photo with his finger over the lens just to prove that he had not done that, and the way that the photos developed was completely different. The photo that he had taken with his thumb over the lens was more of a gray color. You could tell that it was actually capturing what the camera was seeing. However, the other one was pitch black. There was no variation in lighting or anything. He even showed a picture taken on his phone of the hallway completely illuminated, but when taking the picture with the camera, it came out completely black again. He even opened a brand new pack of film, ruining it, just to see if maybe that picture specifically didn't develop. But all of the undeveloped sheets of film were white. The following day, Adam smudged his apartment with a bundle of white sage under the advice of commenters. He said after smudging, he didn't feel like much had changed, but he was desperate for anything. He said he was having trouble sleeping and was waking up repeatedly through the night with a bad feeling in his chest. The following morning, he concluded that the sage apparently did nothing because it was the first time he had actually dreamt of David in months. He said that his dream was almost the same as previous dreams of David. He was laying in bed, nearly paralyzed, and David sat in the chair that he had always sat in, though looking smaller and more shrunken than before, and there was a haze of smoke all around the room. Adam said he took this as some sort of bad omen. A few days later, he updated that his cats were still indeed gathering around his front door at midnight every night. Adam updated that his cats were still gathering around his front door at midnight every night. And on his Sleep Talk app, it captured a recording every night at around 3 a.m. of 5 minutes of electronic static that he couldn't explain. And on at least one occasion, he had woken up to the entire house shaking. He said that he felt very uneasy, like he was living on the edge of something, like the feeling in the air when you can tell a thunderstorm is coming and you're just waiting for it. A few days later, he tweeted that while these experiences in his home had been spooky and scared him, he was now beginning to feel unsafe in his home. He said on the previous Friday he had fallen asleep pretty early and had a nightmare about David dragging him by the arm through an abandoned warehouse. He woke up kind of freaked out, but decided to just start getting ready with his day. And eventually the dream just started to fade away and he felt a lot better. That is until he got in the shower and noticed a huge bruise on his arm exactly where David had been dragging him. He went over some logical explanations but was unsettled regardless. Later in the day, he decided to go get coffee from a local cafe in his neighborhood. And on the way, he passed by a car repair shop that he said since he lived in that area of the city, every day had been extremely busy. But today, the shutters were open and it seemed gutted and abandoned. Out of curiosity, he decided to go inside and have a look around as he'd never been in there before. And there wasn't much to see except a green chair that was very reminiscent of the green rocking chair in his bedroom that David first appeared to him in. The sight unsettled him, and he decided to leave and go get his coffee, and walking back to his apartment, the shutters were closed in the warehouse. Adam gave another update the following week, saying that his cats were still gathering around his front door every night, but had started doing it earlier and earlier. They would gather and start crying around the door at around 10 p.m. till about 10:15, and that's when he started getting repeated phone calls from an anonymous number. He uploaded a screenshot of his recent call log and showed that he had answered the number once. He initially answered thinking that it was a telemarketer that would stop once he actually answered and asked them to stop. But instead, he heard a static sound similar to what he would hear every morning at 3 a.m. on his sleep recording app. This went on for about a minute until it stopped and there was complete silence, though he swore he could hear faint breathing. Then, before hanging up, he heard a faint hello, and at that he hung up and he was completely freaked out and never answered these calls again. He closed all of the curtains in his apartment and turned on all of the lights, freaked out but not knowing what to do. He said that all he felt he could do was keep writing and recording everything, so that's what he would keep doing. He considered getting rid of the green rocking chair that David first appeared to him in that was still in his room, but he doubted that it would really change anything. He said that he hoped his upcoming trip to Japan would potentially help things, that it would make David think that he had moved and eventually give up looking for him. He purchased a pet monitoring camera so he could keep an eye on his cats while he was away and especially on his upcoming trip, but probably also to see if there was any other supernatural occurrences going on while he was out of the house. One night while he was out of the house, he decided to test the camera. The camera would send notifications to his phone just noting any movement within the house. And it worked as intended. It notified him all night of his cats running around the apartment. Though around 11 p.m. he was notified of movement, though when he went to check the clip of said movement, there was nothing there. He rewatched this clip a couple of times just to see what could have triggered the camera, and then he saw that the rocking chair that he had moved from his bedroom into his living room was moving very slightly. He wrote off the suggestion that it could have been some sort of breeze coming in from outside because all of his windows were shut because he used AC all summer. A half an hour later, he received another alert on his phone to movement, and what he saw was a turtle shell that he had hung on his wall falling for no apparent reason. Shaken, when he got home, he decided to turn the camera off and move the rocking chair into the hallway. If you can see, my light over here is changing intensities, and I know it's normal because these are just cheap things that I got at Walmart for like $10, but it's freaking me out. Eventually, he turned the camera back on and decided to give an update of activity that it had captured over the weekend. He uploaded a video of his cat Maxwell seemingly being startled by something that nobody else could see. And he said that he was pretty sure it wasn't a bug because his cats weren't really afraid of that sort of thing. They really would just eat a bug if they saw it. And he said in the years that he had lived in the building, he had seen maybe 3 insects. The next video he uploaded was from the following night, in which Maxwell was standing on his hind legs on the couch, which was abnormal behavior for him apparently. And he was apparently doing this for hours, and his head seemed to be scanning the room, following something that, again, the camera could not see. And in the following video, it showed Maxwell doing the same thing, but swatting something in the air in front of him. He concluded his update by saying things have just felt off the last week. I know I'm a pussy, but this light is really freaking me out right now. I am definitely going to sage in this room after.
Excuse me, what the actual fuck are you doing in my house?
And it died. It died, but it doesn't run on batteries. It's just plugged in, and the light down there... Oh? The light down there is dying, meaning that... Is there not any power getting to it? But this light's still on, and they're plugged into... I'm not even gonna... Give me 1 second to fix the lights. Alright, we are going to try to continue as normal, but I'm getting really freaked out. He uploaded his next update about a week later, confessing that he had been having frequent nightmares, and that these recent nightmares had felt much more intense than recent dreams he'd had. He talked about having a dream while napping, that he rolled over in bed, and on the opposite pillow to him there was a head with a long spine snaking out of the bottom of it. He said the head was somehow still alive and smiling at him, and when Adam shot up and screamed, "What happened to you?" the head simply smiled wider and groaned, "It feels great." He said when he woke up that it was dark outside and everything in his apartment was quiet. He said other dreams consisted of shadow figures looking into his windows, even though he was on the 2nd floor. Still shaken from the earlier dream, he decided that he did not want to stay in his apartment and decided to go get snacks from a local bodega. Though on his way to get these snacks, he had to pass by the warehouse. It was still shuttered like the day he had went in to explore. It still gave him a very unsettling feeling, so he rushed by it and just tried to put it out of his mind. On his way back to the apartment, he heard something hit the inside of the shutter, and he froze immediately. After he heard nothing else, his curiosity kind of took over, and he decided that he wanted to see what was inside. So he decided to take his phone and put it up towards a grated window that was far above his head, to see if he could see anything on the inside. He took a picture, but was too uneasy to look at it while he was out, so decided to look at it when he got home. Though he said as he was taking the picture, he could have sworn he saw some sort of movement within the flash of his camera, but again, did not want to look at it until he was home. When he finally did look at the picture, he realized that the window he had captured did not show the shutter that he was initially trying to look at to see if anything had hit it. But it was actually a very small, maybe corner office room. It had a desk chair and it was filled with insulation and other clutter. Then he noticed a distortion in the top right corner that he says could have been a face, but he wasn't sure what he was really looking at. He was just so stressed he wasn't sure of anything anymore. He messed with some filters and made what he thought was a face more clearly and claimed that it looked exactly like David. Alright, so I am freaked out because of being home alone and just the creepiness of the story, and now my light fucking dying even though it's plugged in and I don't know what to do anymore, and I'm gonna cut it off here and there's going to be a part 2 to this video very soon. But before heading out, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video, and as of recording, we are at 297 subscribers. Hopefully we'll be hitting 300 very soon, but let me know down below if you guys are interested in some sort of subscriber milestone, like celebration, like a live stream or something. I'm very excited and I want to show you guys my appreciation in some way. Just a reminder that I do have an Etsy shop now called That Spooky Spot that has all sorts of cryptid and spooky themed items that if you want to, you can check it out, and if you see something you like, consider purchasing it. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and sharing with a friend if you think they'd enjoy it as well. And if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell icon so you'll be notified when I upload. And if you've enjoyed this video or videos in the internet horror genre in general, be sure to check out my internet horror playlist. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!